My heroine's journey. I'd given birth to my third child, gotten a divorce, and been evicted from my apartment, all within a 1.5 year time span. I found myself staying with my now ex-husband in his grandmother's RV parked in her driveway, just so I could be with my children and out of the bitter cold Michigan winter weather. I had to end this cycle once and for all, no matter what it takes. The download in divine guidance was clear. It's time to go. But how could I take my children to live in a van? Unsure when we'll get more money, more food, if they are safe in the night. I can't risk that. So then, they must stay here and wait for me to put an end to this. I knew I had to go. Every fiber of my being knew it was going to be a necessary separation. But in the end, I couldn't make that choice myself. I couldn't willingly leave my children behind. And when I couldn't make the choice, it was made for me. Kicked out. Into my van I go, in the dead of winter, a van with no brakes, no insurance, and not even registered yet. But now this old broken down car was my home. All alone. Luckily for me, I've had a special connection and awareness of source within and around me since a very young age, communicating with me in ways that work best for me at that time. So this helped exponentially with the perception of my experiences to come. Though it still grieved me tremendously having to face and experience every mother's worst nightmare, losing your children. I knew there was a bigger purpose at play, a bigger picture I couldn't yet fully see. I needed to trust my path, have faith in my guidance and instincts. Now, I had no choice. Before awakening to my soul's blueprint for incarnation, all I ever wanted was to be a mother. To have the happy family life I never got to experience myself as a child. But by this point in my journey, I knew that if it was happening, it was with divine purpose. So, I surrendered. What else could I do? Roll over and die? Looking back, I can see now how the upcoming experiences profoundly impacted my becoming. The unfoldment of self I had during this phase was truly a blessing, though it did not come without great sacrifice. I nearly gave up entirely on life at one point, but as I said, I am divinely connected, protected, and guided. So as I hit that rock bottom of my life, an ascended master came to me and silently walked alongside me for the rest of the time I now refer to as my time of sacred solitude. If I'm being completely honest, this next chapter was, again, not by choice, at least not in terms of timing. It was still winter in Michigan, living in a van with no heat. I had to go south to keep warm. The plan was for me to go back to Michigan in the spring. I knew they wouldn't be able to stay with me in the van, but at least I could see them while I worked towards regaining my stability. But then one February afternoon, I received a phone call from a friend of the court, letting me know that I was not only over $2,000 behind on a child support case I never even knew existed until this point, but also that I was scheduled for an in-person court hearing a week from then, as my children's father wanted to take away my legal custody rights. Even though I had no plan and nowhere to stay once I got there, and on top of all of that, I was absolutely terrified of how my children would react to seeing me again. I knew it was time to go home. And when I arrived, I was gracefully gifted with the opportunity to truly and fully understand what it means to be loved unconditionally. They didn't look at me with eyes of betrayal or abandonment. They just had full hearts to be with their mama again. All court motions and backroad child support dropped. For a time, everything was truly okay again. Though I knew deep within my soul that this was a temporary reprieve from the grief and separation we had all just endured, and I would be called to leave again in the future to continue along my divinely laid out path. But for now, I allowed myself to be completely and blissfully immersed in the experience of living in a house with my babies again. Those next 2 months felt like a surreal dream. I was back in the exact same environment that had started this entire snowball-like series of events in my life that had, in this moment, ironically, landed me right back where it had all started. It was my old life, and yet I was completely new. At first, no one but my ex and my children knew I was back in town, partly so that I could wholeheartedly enjoy nothing but uninterrupted quality time with my babies, and partly because I could sense the temporary nature of my staying there, and I didn't have the slightest clue where I could be called to next or when. It wasn't until tensions between my children's father and I got so high that he began to, for the first time in the almost 10 years we'd been coupled together, put his hands on me, did I make that final call to leave permanently. As a child, I'd witnessed my mother being beaten, bloody, and bruised. As the oldest child, I was the protector of my siblings, and ultimately, I was hers too. And even as a small child, I had a great sense of self-awareness, and I made an oath to myself that I would never put my own children in that position to witness such tragedy. And yet this night, I locked eyes with my son as his father attempted to forcefully drag me out of his house. And that night, I saw myself reflected in the face of my middle child as he became my protector. Shattered by the realization that the cycle had already begun to repeat. The whole reason I divorced my ex in the first place was to break that generational pattern of abuse and victimhood. I felt as though I had utterly failed. A goddess had come to me. She led me to where I needed to go and kept me safe in the night. The communication from her subsided during my 2-month stay with my children. During this time, I focused outwardly on gaining stability, independence, and getting my babies back. Internally, I had to allow all versions of self I'd known up to this point to die so that I may be reborn. Soul activations through Vedic mantra chanting and deep meditation coupled with a consistent state of awareness, integration phases of weeping and releasing old versions of self through journaling. I was being directly guided through the process of a natural unfoldment of me as she. Through a series of serendipitous events, I came across a fully accredited college university rooted in consciousness, the very first consciousness-based education program ever, offering master's degrees in Ayurveda, human consciousness and potential, sustainable living, and enlightened leadership. In a newly found concept of a uniquely blended bachelor degree program, where a student like myself can allow ourselves the freedom to follow our callings and immerse our awareness in all that the campus has to offer, while earning college credits and receiving a custom degree aligned seamlessly with our own soul's divine path. I'd found it, and quickly bookmarked the idea when all hell broke loose and my entire foundation crumbled beneath my feet, only to receive an email one unsuspecting afternoon 2 years later with information on spring enrollment deadlines. Through guided premonition and an expanded sense of self-awareness, I knew the day was coming that I would need to take swift action and relocate to gain knowledge and experience, as well as a resting ground for healing and activation purposes to prepare me for my next journey and entered into a new era. Both a level of completion and a whole new beginning, all at once. One that aligns with me, my values, callings, my own unique soul's blueprint. Among like-minded individuals, my soul tribe, and as an extra special surprise and a clear sign of serendipity, the requested arrival date to begin as an on-campus MIU student was on my birthday. Enrolled as an individualized major undergraduate student with intentions to begin a master's program in Ayurvedic health and wellness upon completion of my bachelor's degree program. This place feels sacred and heavenly to me, in the purity of life force energy and connection to source, creator, spirit, pure consciousness, the universe, whatever label feels good and right for the individual to recognize it by. And it's packed full of such beautiful souls, beaming with creative expression and enlivened spirits. I can genuinely say I am so incredibly honored to be blessed with the opportunity to simultaneously establish short-term stability and physical safety, whilst building towards my permanent established stability and success, and be in a space that not only honors the cultivation and refinement of our level of consciousness and spiritual practices, but actually encourages and helps to facilitate it as well. What a humbling honor it is to stand and learn and grow alongside the future foundational leaders of the new era coming to humanity, as we collectively ascend into divinity on earth, a new golden age being sustainably and reputably built right underneath my feet with the help of my hands. We are one.